Hi everyone. Today we're gonna do a handwriting critique. So Valentin sent me his handwriting sample and I'm gonna talk about it, and hopefully that will help you with your own handwriting progress. So Valentin, thanks for sending me your stuff. First of all, I want to say I love it. Your writing is beautiful and you should give yourself some credit. If I was to receive something like this in the mail, I would be very happy. So when I look at this, and Valentin's from Romania, by the way, one thing I would like to mention is that when you do your eyes, it might be a good idea to dot your eyes a little lower, because right now they're a bit too high and a bit small, so some of them are barely visible. So whenever I do my eyes, I don't just dot it, I kind of like draw kind of like a line, so like that, and it's not too high up, it's kind of like closer. So I would dot them right about here, like this. You know, the enema is, the dots are too high, so if it's a little closer and a little more prominent, I think it makes it more readable, like this. Well, maybe that's too close, so kind of like that. I really like your capitals. I think they're well placed. I like this C, and I like how your lowercase is in between, kind of like that too. I love this R. That's cool. That's a little tight, but it's still pretty nice. The H though, I think it could be improved, because this little squiggle here might be confused for a letter. So what I would do is, can I do that? Oops, that's my printer. And start the AI here. So your baseline is not necessarily here, which is like that. It could start in the middle, like what you did here. So I think that makes your opening letter more dramatic. Maybe you could do something like that too, so you don't feel kind of, you know, constrained, you know. I do notice some spacing issues but you know, spacing is really tough. Everybody struggles with spacing. I struggle a lot with spacing, but you may notice that when you're writing, your first word is spaced beautifully. That A-I-S-A is gorgeous, and this is pretty good, and then it slowly gets tighter and tighter, like it starts getting squeezed and squeezed. It's really prominent here. This EI and this CU is like so tight together, and it's tight here again, and I think you must have caught yourself because it's spaced out here. So it's kind of like oops. Oh. So just keep an eye on spacing. Something like this is great. This is not so much. Yeah. What I do is, whenever I'm writing something, so for example, if I was to write so these 4 words, the spacing is pretty good. and if I was to write on the second line, I might forget, you know, and I start going too tight or whatever. So a good way to avoid that is to constantly look before you. It's kind of like when you're walking and you want to look behind to make sure, you know, to make sure your pace is still the same. So before I start on the next lines anywhere, I would look up and kind of remember the spacing I have. Hope it's so rather than just closing my eyes and not looking, I always keep an eye on what I wrote. Like in the corner of my eye, I'm keeping this in the corner of my eye, so my spacing is always more or less consistent. So don't forget what you wrote before as you continue on. Anyway, I don't think it's that big of a deal, because once you zoom out and, you know, look at it as a whole, it's quite beautiful. So it's just nitpicky, yeah. But if you wanna focus on something, then I would say spacing is a good thing to focus. I would also mention, similar to the eyes, the dots on the eyes, I think the crossbars should be a little lower. So this is a little high. Like this is a little high, so it might look like it's floating in the middle as a kind of decoration. So if you was to make it lower, it will look more obvious, like that, like that. So this is a strange word. It's got this thing and this thing on, so let's see. T-I-E-I. I'm gonna cross it first and then do my dots and then do this thing. So that's how I would solve this problem. Even if it's floating, you could still, it still looks like a T. Okay, so the crossbar, the middle of it should be in the middle of your T. So this is starting here, it should, the middle part should have been here. Okay. I really like the flourishes. It's cool. I think if you make your capitals bigger, this would look more beautiful. They're actually kind of small, so in the same vein as that, I think you could make them bigger. Like I can just imagine how beautiful this word would be if you made your R. Whoops. Really big. And your flourishes really big. That way it looks more balanced, you know, because this is like a huge flourish and your capital is, you know, kind of small in comparison. So kind of like balance it out. So yeah, so that's my suggestions is to work on your crossbars, your eyes, the dots of the eyes, make your capitals larger, like at least 30% larger. Work on spacing. Maybe these things, I don't really know what they are, but maybe you could try making them sharper instead of like that. But again, I don't really know what they are, so I don't know, see what works for you. I don't know if you wrote this with a fountain pen or a nib, but I really like the shadings that you have, so that's a good job. My dog's going crazy downstairs. And that's also really beautiful. I love it. You're really good, Valentin. Okay, so thanks for sending this in. If you want me to critique your work for like a 10-minute critique, I'm happy to do that. All you need to do is send me your maybe one PDF of your work to my email, info@open.com. It would be great if you can send a PDF that is sized properly, so that when I print it out, it's the correct size of what you wrote it with, because with Valentin's I wasn't sure what size he usually writes in, so I kind of like printed it in this size. So I can't guarantee I'm gonna do everybody's, but I'll try my best. Okay, thanks. See y'all next time. Bye.